Welcome to the Legends of Iron. I'm John Anderson. Meet my co-hosts, Nick Best and Akeem Williams. We're going to have some amazing guests on the show. Buckle up tight, because we're going to be talking about the shit you're not supposed to be talking about. We're going to be discussing anything and everything it takes to become a Legend of Iron.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mints. Muscle Mints is the creator of Carnivore Pure Beef Protein Isolates. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein.
Welcome to another edition of Legends of Iron. I'm John Anderson. With me always, my partners in crime, Nick Best and Akeem Williams. We have got a killer show for you today. We've got a monstrous show for you today because our guest is a monster, or maybe we call him a dinosaur. T-Rex, to be exact. We have got one of the best strongman in the country, in the world, and he is coming on strong. He's getting better by the year. This guy is definitely someone you'll watch. He's entertaining. He's strong. He's pretty much got it. Let's welcome Evan T-Rex Singleton to the show. What's going down, my brother?
How you doing, brother? Good to be here.
Good to have you on the show.
Come in! Nick! What's up, bud?
How you doing?
Good, man.
Just monster of a man. You barely fit in that goddamn screen, brother. Holy shit.
I'm on it kind of far away from me just so I can get my shoulders in it.
I love it. I love it. Well, real quick, where did T-Rex come from? Is that something that where did that get let's a little backdrop on the nickname?
It's one thing that has personally developed a little bit of meaning to me over time, but initially it was I got my T-Rex tattoo on both of my hands, and I got that about 2 months before my first competition in strongman in 2018. And people at the competition started calling me the T-Rex, and it's honestly something that I've just kind of stuck with and ran. So
Right, a good nickname sticks. You know, it goes out once, people grab it, and there you go. I love it. I think it fucking fits you perfectly, brother. So,
thank you.
Well, let's go back in time. Let's go back in time. Now you're one of the world's best, top of the food chain in the strongman world. But there was a time when you were fiddling around with some different stuff. You came, forgive me if I'm wrong, right out of high school, you went right into wrestling. You got signed with WWE, correct?
Yes, sir. I got signed to WWE at the end of my 18 when I just turned 19. Yeah.
So you're just a kid. Obviously, I wrestle myself, so I know what it's like being on the road and doing all this stuff. So I can only imagine being 19 years old, being exposed to what comes along with being on the road. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, it was definitely wild, especially because I would say that at 18, 19 years old, I didn't have a lot of worldly experience. So it was a big culture shock and kind of like almost a violent shove into adulthood.
Yeah, I bet.
I've only been out of the state of Pennsylvania where I was born and raised maybe like 2 or 3 times. And as soon as I got signed there, I moved down to Florida by myself and pretty much just picked up and went. And yeah, the world of wrestling is definitely an interesting one. That's for sure.
Now, I gotta ask a question, man. What is it with strongman in Pennsylvania? I noticed a lot of strong guys in Pennsylvania. For real.
See, the thing is, there isn't shit to do in Pennsylvania. So you either hunt or you pick up rocks, and that's pretty much it.
That's it. Working hard is in the culture over there too. You know.
Yeah. We've got all the Amish, so yeah, all those fuckers build a barn in like 30, 45 minutes.
So basically, you grew up pulling buggies.
Yeah. Let's cut the whole buggies like a Clydesdale.
I love it. Well, give us a little more juice on, most people have never really understood. I mean, people see wrestling, they see in the ring, they see come out of the curtain. What they don't see is all the shit that goes into making that fucking 12-minute match. And at 19, when I started wrestling, I was in my 30s, and I had, like you said, I had the worldly experience. I'd traveled all over the world, so I was able to take all of the shits, all the temptations, and kind of keep them at bay. But 19, I wasn't able to do that. So talk to us about some of your challenges there, brother.
Well, as far as some of the temptations, that's not something that ever really affected me too much, because I've always been a very goal-driven person. I don't drink. I never tried any drugs. I don't smoke cigarettes. Like, I never did.
Good for you. Good for you. You don't see that very often nowadays. Good for you.
Yeah. But the reasoning behind that was I was always a goal-driven person, and if it wasn't something that would help me get to my goal and achieve my goal, then I just saw it as pointless and didn't do it. So yeah. I would say that in the wonderful world of professional wrestling, the temptation wasn't necessarily an issue. I would say that I had a lot of issues with just the lack of worldly experience and how to deal with people of different cultures and different personalities and egos.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question, brother, because you're talking about not drinking, not doing drugs, which is more power to you. That's fucking amazing. Great job. There's not many people that do that. In that world, you're not dealing with people that don't drink and don't fuck around with drugs. That's just the way it is.
Oh God.
I was the same. I mean, I really drink on rare occasion. So when I showed up into the wrestling world, I was a target for that. Yep. And so what I had to do literally was I had to fucking, because I'm, obviously I'm a bigger guy. Not everybody can metabolize alcohol like I could. So I would basically just drink people under the table and drink them hard under the table, make them hurt. So people would stop fucking with me.
Really?
Yeah, that's what, because it's kind of like in the locker room when somebody fucks with you. You gotta let them know, look, you can do that once, not twice, Yeah. And so what I would do is obviously I could metabolize, food and anything quickly. So I ate a lot as I was drinking, which means I could drink a lot more. And that's how I kind of created that space. But I didn't do that. I would have been a target, day after day, because everybody's trying to get the guy that won't drink to drink. How did you deal with that?
That was kind of a problem, just because there was a couple of things that made me a target. And honestly, the whole not drinking and not doing drugs and all of that stuff was never really made me a target as much as not having any professional wrestling experience, not having any professional wrestling lineage. Like, nobody in my family ever did it. And the fact that I was so young and I was brought up right out of high school. The guy did not like that at all.
Well, brother, we had a lot in common. I mean, granted, when I started wrestling, I had basically no experience, and just the way I look is what got me the shot. So I felt that same pressure as well. So I know exactly what you went through. I mean, these people are talking about, oh, remember so-and-so, like he was some great athlete and 20 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, I remember. I'm trying to play along. But I mean, so when you go into that world, these are people who, I mean, think of it like a sport that people love. It's sports entertainment. And if you're not a part of that, you get fucking singled out real quick. And that was me. It sounds like that happened to you too. So I totally understand where you're coming from. That's a tough place to be, especially at 19,
Yeah. And I contribute a lot of the difficulties that I had just because I wasn't used to that and I didn't know how to process that at the time. Yeah. I didn't have that experience with people who were just constantly making me a target.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm perfectly happy now slapping the shit out of somebody who does that to me, but back then I didn't have that confidence.
So. Yeah, I bet. I mean, so because I had read that, when I was kind of checking into what the things we could talk about. One of the things that I don't know if you'd said this or if it was just kind of something that was printed or put into print that you were uncomfortable with backstage. It was kind of like if you're uncomfortable backstage, it's a tough business as a whole. That's where all this shit was going on. So much the locker room. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I don't remember saying that, but it sounds like something that I could definitely agree with. I had a lot of problems with people backstage. A lot of stuff that was very two-facey in a sense that they would say something to your face and then they would go like talk shit about what they just told you behind your back. So I had a couple of those experiences.
Sounds like pretty much every industry, man.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
So here's a question.
Here, I'll give you an example then, without trying to name like names or anything like that. When I first got into pro wrestling, I said it was when I first got into WWE, during one of the classes, they had all the new guys go up one by one, introduce ourselves, and then they asked us, who was your favorite wrestler growing up? And I said I really liked watching Goldberg. I really enjoyed Goldberg. I loved that he would come out there and he would just smash people, and I thought that was really entertaining when I watched it when I was a kid. And I was ridiculed mercilessly for that because Goldberg's not known for his technical in-ring ability.
Brother, I would have said the same fucking thing. So we were on the same level. The difference was I was 15 years older than you, so I should have known better.
But I remember just being trashed for that. Like everybody in the class, the teachers, the wrestlers, everybody would just give me crap for that. And now I look and I'll get like, I'll see like a clip that somebody sends me of WWE, people talking about Goldberg because he made this big return, I guess. I don't watch it anymore, but apparently he made a really big return and everybody's just like sucking his dick. Like everybody's like, oh, Goldberg's one of the greats and he was amazing and he's awesome to work with and all that. It's just like, you guys picked on me mercilessly for saying that shit like 10 years ago.
Fuckers. What changed, right?
Yeah, what changed? Is it because he got brought back and now he's being pushed? All right, that's fair.
It's just the fact that the wrestling enthusiasts they saw him as, you know, he was a big character. He was main events, but he wasn't technically a great wrestler. And they're trying to you're in a school where you're learning techniques, so they're wanting you to spit somebody out that has greatest tech. They don't care if he was ever rose to the top. They just want to see, did you recognize who was good or not, you know?
Yep.
In terms of technique. So I get it. But I side with you and I understand. I went through it too, brother. So I giggle because I can remember similar situations. I was discovered as knowing nothing right away, even though I was on tour. You know, it's just the way I looked. Yeah. They quickly realized that I was good at one thing, which was fucking screaming and flexing my muscles. And that was it. I was a shitty wrestler, top to bottom, but I could fight, you know, just the way I looked. If I looked fucking crazy, that was enough, you know?
John, they treat you like a chick with big tits, huh?
Oh, my God.
That's it, you know? That's what it comes down to. You're just a dirty dish towel. You know, when you get dirty enough, they find another one.
I love it. It sounds about right.
So what was it finally what was the straw that broke the camel's back? It was an injury, as I understand, yeah?
Yes, sir. I was performing live with Eric Rowan, and at the end of the match, I took a choke slam, and something happened, and I ended up getting thrown on the back of my head instead of flat on my back. Head bounced up against the mat, and it gave me a hemorrhage in the left side of my brain.
Oh, fuck.
Yep.
Wow.
And after about, I want to say it was about 6 to 8 months after that, the neurologist I was seeing told me that if I took another bump like that, that could reopen and I'll bleed into my skull until the pressure would compress my brain and it would kill me.
It would be over, game over. No, I mean, there's no joke in there. In Japan, my tag team partner broke his neck in the ring, man. I watched him get his neck broken, just pow, just like that. Yeah. He's running around 1 minute, next thing a minute, he's sitting there talking, but he can't move anything. It's freaky shit, so yeah. Well, clearly that was not your place anyway, because look at you now, brother.
Nope. I at the time, there's no way that I could have seen it as anything other than just pure heartbreak, because I was 19 years old and I made it. I got signed to WWE, and then that happened, and I just feel like my dream was taken away from me. And there was definitely some low points that I had to deal with, but now looking back at it, I see a blessing in disguise, because if that never would have happened, I probably never would have found strongman. And I genuinely feel like this is my calling. I'm doing what I was put on this earth to do.
Well, brother, let me tell you, you keep doing what you're doing, they'll come back and want to pay you anyway, and then you won't even have to take bumps. That makes sense. So you just keep doing what you're doing, and they're looking for big dudes like you, especially someone that's made a name for themselves. So you just stay on the path you're on. Once you feel like, strongman is kind of get to that certain point, and maybe you're a little banged up and you're ready to go grab some big checks, you can go back to them. But at that point, all you got to do is walk in the ring and talk. It's a much better gig, Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
So you're finished with wrestling. Obviously, you went through all of the ups and downs, especially as a youngster. That must have been rough. You played with a little bodybuilding. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I did.
Here we go.
I did one show. I learned really, really quick. Bodybuilding's not for me. I committed to one show, and I dieted for about 7 to 8 months straight.
I thought you were going to say days.
Fuck off.
Damn, Nick.
If it makes you feel any better, the second that I got my trophy for second or third, I forget which one it was. As soon as I got my trophy, I was like, I'm never doing this shit again. Ever. This is a once and done kind of thing for me. I can't do this shit again.
I'm curious why you it turned you off.
Honestly, it was the diet.
Oh,
it was the diet. Yeah, I mean, I still to this day, unless it's deep fried, do not want to eat chicken ever. At all. I ate so much goddamn chicken. I am so over it in every single. If it's not KFC, I don't want it.
What about Popeyes, dude? You gonna keep Popeyes on the sideline?
Yeah, I'm sidelining Popeyes for KFC. That's my MVP. Hell yeah, extra crispy.
I love it, dude. That's good shit.
He went on that chicken bench, and he's just like, no more.
Yeah, you're damn right. You know what? One of my first things when I got back to my house, my show was in New York, so it was about a 4-hour drive to my show. And on my way back, I stopped and I got like $50 worth of Burger King. It was the only thing that was open on the highway, and I did not care. I ordered something like one of everything on the menu. And I just did not care. And I ended up scarfing all of it and then throwing it all up like 10 minutes later.
I'm curious, what was your rebound weight? How much did you weigh after it was all said and done?
Those rebounds are nasty, man.
What, like
after the show?
After the show?
Yeah, what did you weigh in at the show, and then what were you 3 days later?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I was on stage at 239 pounds. So 240.
3 days later, how many pounds? 3 days
later, I was about 265, 270.
Yeah, there we go.
about 30-pound rebound.
Yeah,
the rebounds. I mean, when you really my first bodybuilding show, I had a 27-pound rebound in 36 hours. I just had no idea how to control it, and it was awful. I mean, it was like I felt like I was going to explode from the inside out. I had so much abdominal pressure. My fucking ankles, couldn't even see my ankle bones.
I remember the ankles. I remember that.
Yeah. Now, looking back, I thought of my coach like, dude, why didn't you give me some kind of direction? Just fucking cut me loose and tell me to go eat. That was not what I needed to hear. So how old are you at this point? How old are you at this point at the show?
I am 29 years old.
No, I'm sorry. At the bodybuilding show.
Bodybuilding, I was 23.
Okay.
So there was a few year period from between WWE and your first show. Is that correct?
Yeah,
a year period.
There was a long time where I wasn't able to exercise at all because my neurologist was very fearful of the pressure in my head that would put on my brain.
Oh,
So
no
it took
shit.
a long time to get back into shape. And actually, that's what prompted me to pursue bodybuilding, because I wasn't able to train and I wasn't able to do any wrestling. So I fell into a really, really deep depression, and I put on so much weight. I ballooned up to about 385 of bad weight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I just remember hating what I saw in the mirror every day. And the second that I got the green light to lift weights again, that's when I started. That's when I said, like, I love following bodybuilding, the sport, and I really, I aspire to like what I see in the mirror. So I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to give this a try.
And that's you as a person. You're going to commit to something that you want to commit. You want to be committed.
That shows a lot. That shows a lot of character that you decided to do the show. You went through with it. A lot of people start the journey and they never finish it. So
isn't that the truth?
I'm definitely the type of person where I never want to. I want to be able to. I want to be able to die someday without ever wondering what if. I have zero desire to ever wonder what would have happened if I would have tried this. And
well, brother, let me tell you, you can see that in how you compete as a strongman, man. You don't leave anything back. Whatever you're going to do, it's 100. It's not 100%. It's like 150%. And that's what makes it so fun to watch you, is that that anything you're going to step up and do is going to be wide fucking open, and that's that type of commitment is, it's amazing to watch, but it's something that people are drawn to. And obviously the fact that you're a fucking animal and everything you do and this commitment, it's a great thing. So brother, going from listening to your channels from wrestling to bodybuilding, and then you found your place in strongman, it speaks of your character in volumes. So fucking good shit, brother.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, 100%. And this is just the beginning for you, dude. You just scratched the fucking surface of what you're doing right now. So now we move the timeline forward. So we're done with the bodybuilding show. Somehow we stumble into strongman.
Well, my mindset after bodybuilding, because I was pretty firm on the whole, my stance on bodybuilding is I'm proud that I stuck to it for so long. I'm proud that I went through the entire process. I put together a routine, mixed my music. I got up on stage. I got my trophy. I did everything that I said I was going to do. I have the pictures, the trunks, and the trophy to prove it. With that being said, I am never doing this shit again. So in my mind, I wanted to do something that I could do and be competitive in that was weightlifting related, because I started lifting weights when I was 14, not for strength purposes more than anything, just to get in shape and help me with amateur wrestling, which I was really good at. I just love the way that lifting weights makes me feel. So I wanted to do something weightlifting related that was competitive, that wasn't bodybuilding. So I looked around online and found a powerlifting and strongman gym in my local area, McMillan's Training Systems in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And I went over there, and I actually had the intent of starting with powerlifting because it was a lot simpler. It was just 3 lifts, and it would be a really good way to build kind of a base strength for me, because I never did strength training before. It was always for aesthetics. So I set up a date to tour the gym. And as I'm going through the tour with the owner, somebody's doing log press, and I ended up bugging him for a little bit. I asked him a couple questions about strongman, about log press, everything like that. He actually let me work in with him a little bit and showed me like one or two things. And I decided, okay, well, maybe I can just try a little bit of the strongman stuff for like a week, 2 weeks, if that. And I want to say, like, within a week to a week and a half, I was like, found it.
The rest was, I could feel that coming. The rest was history. We were real close to that. I could feel it. I love it, brother.
Yeah, the first time that I tried log that day, and then like the next day I did farmers and yoke, I was like, oh, I love this. This is fun.
Nice.
And that's
very nice.
No,
never looked back.
Evan, people need to understand something. What's your max log now?
It's got to be over 450 because I've hit 450 already.
Exactly. And what's your max deadlift? What's your best pull in a contest?
1,000 pounds.
Yeah, I knew that. I'm just, I know what it is, but I want people
Go ahead,
to
bring
understand.
it up. I don't mind saying it.
How strong you are.
He says that so casual. I remember when Eddie Hall pulled that 1,000 pounds at the Arnold. I was so freaking mind blown, and you just seen 1,000 pounds, like, it's 1,000 pounds. It's crazy.
Isn't it crazy, dude? The level of strength now.
I know.
I mean, hands down, the strongmen are the strongest people on the planet. I love powerlifting, but when you come right down to it, you don't. There's so many 1,000-pound plus pullers in the strongman circuit right now. It's fucking insane. It's insane.
The night that I pulled 1,000 pounds in Manchester, England, I was one of 7 guys that pulled 1,000 pounds plus that night. 7 in one comp.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's over half of the field.
Dude, talk about an environment to pull heavy. Yo.
I remember when I did 850. I was on Mountain Everest because I couldn't believe that I could pull something like that. And hearing these guys talking about they pull 1,000 pounds is fucking insane.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about it, to go from 850 to 1,000 is a quantum leap.
Yeah.
Quantum leap.
Yeah. Night and day.
You know?
Yeah.
Night and day.
Yeah.
I mean, once you get that heavy, even 10 more pounds makes things just impossible.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
It's funny how once you get so heavy, you just get so excited about a 5-pound PR. It's wild, man. It's wild.
And your positioning, your body positioning, your technique and leverage, if it's off just the littlest bit, ain't going anywhere.
Yep, absolutely.
Crazy stuff. So you basically found your spot right away, which is great. So you're now, how old are you now at that
29.
time? No, I'm sorry. How old are you?
I need to pay attention to the questions more.
It's all right, brother. We're having a fucking good time here,
I would say that I found the strongman gym when I was like late 24, turning 25.
Oh wow! So you're literally, you've only been in, I knew you'd only been in the sport a little while, but you're talking like 3.5, 4 years tops. You've been in the sport, and you went from a guy who had just become, disenchanted with bodybuilding to a world elite in a basically a 4-year period, which is pretty fucking awesome, dude.
Yep. My first competition was April of 2018. It was North Carolina's Strongest Man, and the winner of the open glass got a qualifier to Giants Live North America.
And so that was it. You basically won that first contest and went right into the big time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, how'd you do in that first Giants Live contest again?
What's that?
How did you do in that Giants Live contest?
I took 8th.
And how'd you do the next year?
I won.
Exactly. That's fucking insane. That's insane.
Nick, he's so humble, man.
I know. That's why.
Yeah, he's so humble.
That's why I'm pushing some of these issues, because people need to understand.
Yeah, man.
He's a freak. He's a freak of the freaks of the freaks.
Oh, I mean, what he's done, unbelievable.
Evan, you can talk your shit, man.
Yeah.
You don't have to be that humble
in this entire
no.
goddamn
You can talk plenty.
and I'm skyrocketing American Strongman to the stratosphere. We're going to pass all those shitty Europeans.
That's it.
And I'm taking the World's Strongest Man title from that giant, bug-eyed Scot, Tom Stoltman, and I'm bringing it back to the States, baby.
There we go. There we go. Keep preaching that shit. Keep preaching that shit. Because let me tell you, bro, the more that you cut promos like that and the better you do, which you're doing both, that's when WWE is going to come and say, hey, come and talk on our microphone. But by the way, there's a 7-figure check that comes along with this. You're not going to have to take any bumps. So just keep doing what you're doing, brother, because entertainment value is value in any sport, you know? So you're crushing it, brother.
It's almost to the point where it's kind of effortless for me just because I'm a natural entertainer. I love doing the live shows because I feed off the energy of the crowd. It helps me lift better. And it's just kind of like easy for me, honestly. It's just I don't even really need to think about it too much. Like I just go out there and I have fun.
That's called the it factor, brother. That's the it factor. Some people just have it. They can just, when the time is right, they just come alive. And that's what it's all about, you know? So, dude, keep fucking doing what you're doing. Keep talking that smack. Keep lifting the big weights because it's all, here's the thing. You're backing it up. I mean, the short amount of time you've been in the sport and how far you've traveled, and you're traveling at such a fast pace, brother, this is what it's all about, you know? Let's go.
So here's a question for you. How do the veterans in strongman treat you as opposed to the veterans in wrestling?
There's
no comparison.
There is literally zero comparison I could ever fucking make to strongman competitors versus wrestlers. Because not only in wrestling were the veteran wrestlers dicks, the new wrestlers were dicks. The lower level wrestlers were dicks. I was shown nothing but love and support from every single strongman from my very first show. And then, oh God, like everybody in the amateur circuit was amazing. But the second that I made it to the pros, how fighting all of you guys were, like how willing you guys were to help and give advice and show support for each other, especially me being brand new to the circuit. I must have, oh God, my perfect example was with you, Nick. One of my first World's Strongest Man in 2020 where I competed, me, Bobby Thompson, Maxime Boudreau, and Gabriel Pena, we sat in the meeting hall where we were having our meals for World's Strongest Man. This was like 2 days before the qualifiers. We were sitting at our table talking to Nick for hours because he was just sitting down there and he was just giving us stories and he was giving us advice. And I remember Nick coming up to me numerous times throughout the competition, just like, all right, you're getting ready. Focus that anger and that energy. Do this, and this. You're going to be just fine. You're going to go out there. This is your event. Go kill it. Like he was doing that the whole comp. And that was the first time that I met Nick. So the overwhelming support from Strongman is just, it's unmatched in anything I've ever done. It really is.
Yeah.
Nick,
very
thank
true,
you,
bro.
Question, Nick. You
sure.
You think the reason why there's so much support from, you know, the older strongman to the newer strongman is the fact that you guys are such an elite group of athletes, meaning that there's not many people could do what you guys do?
Yeah, that's some of it. Yeah, absolutely. And then also, we want the sport to succeed. We're making some money, but there's a few guys that have made money off this sport, like good money. But everybody else, we're doing it because we love it. We love the sport, and we want to see the sport succeed. And if you don't teach the younger generation, you know, all the pitfalls of it and how to get their head right while on camera and what to focus on and what to go after and what to ignore and stuff like that, we want them to be better than we were. And we want them to make less mistakes than we did. And if there's something I can tell him that'll extend his career an extra 5 years and make him successful, all the better. I mean, I don't know how much longer I got. I'm going to keep going as long as I can, but I'm having fun, and I enjoy, coaching the younger kids and having fun with them and teaching them, the right way of going about things.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and Nick also too, brother. I mean, we've known each other a long time. You're a special individual, and I'm saying everybody. I totally agree. The sport of strongman is a big family, but you are also a very special individual within that, that group. So
I second that.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah, so
Thanks.
yeah, I mean, it's like God. It's like I don't think I can remember a time when Nick has been anything other than positive and smiling, and
Yep.
it's really great that guys like Evan have you, Nick, because it's
only time Nick wasn't happy was when Michael O'Hearn beat him.
Yeah, I tell you what, it motivated me.
I bet he was pissed back then.
Without that guy, I wouldn't have done the things that I did. I went on a tear that just, it motivated me, and I appreciate that, because without him, maybe I win one and just kind of like, okay, I'm good. So I love that guy to death.
Yeah, he's a cool cat, man. He's brought a lot of positive influence into just about every corner of the industry. So, So Evan, what was? Let's talk about inspirations. Obviously, you've been in the sport of strongman a short period of time, but you've obviously poked your head in a lot of different areas of being an athlete. Everybody has inspirations. Sometimes it's a parent, sometimes it's another athlete. Talk to us about yours.
I would say, as far as people that inspire me, it's definitely other competitors. Brian Shaw comes to mind, because at first glance, surface level, it's American strongman, incredibly successful. His rap sheet speaks for itself. He's a legend of the sport.
Yeah.
A laundry list of wins that just does not ever stop. And then as I got to know him and talk to him and develop a little bit of a more personal relationship with him, just who he is as a person, he's just an overall fantastic ambassador for the sport. He really is. There's a reason why he is as successful as he is, and he deserves it, and he's earned it.
I remember when he first came into the sport. Nick, you probably remember this too. Fresh out of college, 310 pounds. I mean, looked like a runway model. Face all shaped up. I mean, no, I swear to God. I mean, he was like a great looking guy. Like, holy shit, man! The guy's 6'8". He was a basketball player at that point.
We're talking about Brian Shaw, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good looking guy, and I was just like,
dude, I'm telling you,
the same person.
Go on the internet and start looking back. You're going to have to go back probably like 2005-ish is my guess. But I mean, I believe I was actually judging at a contest. I was judging the lightweights. It was Van Hatfield's contest in Utah where Brian turned pro. Were you there too, Nick?
Yeah, I was competing in that show.
Were you really? No shit.
Yeah, that was the first show. So in 2005, I turned pro at Van Hatfield's show. And then in 2006, Brian turned pro at that show. I was competing.
I gotcha.
That was my first contest as a pro.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah.
Nick.
Yeah.
In 2005, I was in 7th grade.
I do. Evan, Nick and I were lifting. We started lifting weights in the early 80s.
Way before I was born.
Oh yeah. Shit, your parents were probably just being born at that time. Yeah, but I agree. I mean, Brian he's a special guy, and obviously a great ambassador of the sport, and obviously a great role model, and the fact that you get to kind of follow in his footsteps, because you're kind of, I mean, you're one of those, and I say this with love, you're one of those overgrown guys that, you know, fits that mold, just like you guys don't fit into cars. You guys, it's like you live a slightly different life, you know?
Yeah.
It's going to be fun sticking him in the mini tomorrow.
Don't remind me.
So I have a Mini Cooper. So
you have a Mini Cooper.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick him up from the airport tomorrow in my Mini Cooper.
You got to make a video of that and post that, man. I would love to see that.
Oh, we're going to.
Evan, how long are you going to be in Vegas, brother?
I am leaving tomorrow, and I will be staying there until Monday.
Oh, well, fuck, because I come into town on Thursday night. Oh. Yeah, I'll be there for a week when my daughter's got a national championship cheerleading event. So I'm going to be there for the weekend for her, but then I'm going to stay a little bit longer. So obviously Valentine's Day.
Wait, this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. The Thursday is I leave. What is today?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, we're just talking a few days away here, brother.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Let's get together then.
Fuck yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously inspirations you dropped off other competitors. Is there somebody outside of strongman? Obviously, somebody had to inspire you before you came into the sport. Talk about those people.
I'll be honest, nobody really comes to mind off the top of my head anyway. I'm a sucker for an against all odds story. So like you listen to a story, like a perfect example would be Keanu Reeves, the actor. I love his story so much because of all of the bullshit that he went through, and he still managed to not only be like a Hollywood star, but just all the shit that he overcame, and he's still like a genuinely cool person. Like I'm a sucker for stories like that. I love stuff like that.
So you were literally just kind of driven, you know, wasn't it like you weren't looking at somebody saying, I want to be him. You're saying, I'm going to be fucking good at something. I just got to figure out what the fuck it is. That's fucking really cool, brother. You know?
That's pretty much it. Like I never looked at one individual person and was like, I want to follow in that person's footsteps. I want to be like that person. I would say that for me, it was more of it's exactly how you just said it. I don't know what it is yet, but I want to be the best in the world at X. I just didn't know.
Be great at something. Gonna be great at something. Just got to figure out what the fuck to do.
I think you got it now. I think you're there now.
That my number one thing for me personally would probably be I want to be remembered as the best. Nice. That's what I would say.
Well, I'm telling you, man, you're you're on your way. You know, we had Rob Kearney on not too long ago, and you know, he and the two of you are my favorite two to watch, because for him, you know, he's 280 pounds versus, you know, 380 pounds. And then it's just like, okay, you know, somebody fucking hit the fucking nitro switch on this guy. Let's watch him go crazy for the next 60 seconds.
Yeah, Nick's going to have to put up with me for the next week, so he's going to be seeing some of that shit.
It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time.
Hell yeah.
I don't think we're going to have a crazy Uber ride this time, though, because we have
nothing will ever top that Uber. Unless we get that exact same Uber again, nothing will ever top that. That was awesome.
Pretty amazing.
We got to know the Uber story, man.
Yeah, you got to tell the story. You can't leave an inside story when we're supposed to be bullshit and having fun. What happened? You know.
All right, Nick, do you want this one?
No, you go right ahead.
All right, so we're all getting ready to go to a Disturbed concert, and there was like other acts there, like Stain, and I remember Nick going absolutely batshit insane for Mud Shovel. But before we made our way over to the venue, we were trying to get something to eat. We decided to go to Longhorn Steakhouse, and we called an Uber to take. There was a group of like 5 of us, 5 or 6 of us. We called an Uber to take us from the hotel to the steakhouse, and this guy shows up in a minivan. And the second that we opened this thing up, it looked like this guy had an entire nightclub in the back of his minivan. He had strobe lights. He had flashing different colored Christmas lights all over the place. He had a banging stereo. And this motherfucker had a fully functioning Super Nintendo in the back seat.
Christ.
Like, this was like the cash cab, but for like millennials. This was awesome. We were playing Mortal Kombat the entire way to the steakhouse.
That's hilarious.
Nick, do you play video games?
I play a lot of video games.
Okay, well then, shit, that's you fit right in there. I haven't played a fucking video game in a couple of decades at least, so I would have been watching the action.
Yeah, my kids like to play Fortnite, so it's something fun I can do with them.
Yeah,
so I'll play Fortnite with the kids and Assassin's Creed, and there's a slew of other games, The Witcher, stuff like that. So Witcher 3.
So it sounds like you guys had a hell of a fun Uber ride, huh?
Yeah, we had even more fun at the concert, though.
Yeah, the concert was definitely a night to remember. That was my first ever metal concert.
Yeah, dude, Nick was telling me about the experience, and he was like, Evan was just fucking mauling people, man. He's like, hope no was seriously hurt after that. Well, yeah, I mean, you having fun is like a fucking bull running through a china shop, That's just the way it works.
Evan's never been in a mosh pit before.
Nope.
And I'm really glad, actually, we didn't know Sting was going to be there. So they were sitting there playing, and the whole concert, I'm just waiting for Mud Shovel. Just waiting for it.
No, tell them what you really did. After every single song that they played, as soon as it would get quiet and the instruments would cut off, Nick would just start going, Mud Shovel! Mud Shovel! As loud as he could.
Yeah.
He was in the zone, baby.
They finished with Mud Shovel.
Yeah, that was the last song they played.
I won't confirm or deny that I could have started the mosh pit.
You did.
I
was there.
So started a mosh pit, started going. It was fun though. I mean, I was bouncing off of people. I didn't pummel anyone. It was fun.
Yeah, no. When I was saying that, I was saying that with love. Well, obviously, when you got a 330 and 370 pound guy bouncing off other people, your bounce and their bounce are going to be a little different.
Yeah. The best part though is watching people try to hit Evan as hard as they could, and they just bounce off of him and go flying in different directions. And Evan's just standing there going, guys, just, I'm just kind of walking, man. Just go ahead, have fun. So it was fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was fun to do.
It's such a great time.
I'm just glad the guy that got knocked out was nowhere near either one of us.
Yeah.
So tell us about your favorite story in competition, because obviously you compete with, you're so intense, you're animated. Obviously, we see what you look like from the outside. Talk to us about those moments where what you see from the inside, and what were your favorite moments?
I try to keep it when I'm backstage with the guys in between events. I'm really trying to focus on keeping my heart rate down a little bit and just trying to calm down, laughing and joking around just like we are right now backstage, keeping it very lighthearted. I would say that when I'm getting ready to step onto the competition floor, I want to say maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes before that, that's when I start kind of getting into my zone a little bit, and I actually start making myself angry. I start thinking about a lot of the shit that's happened to me in my life that may not have been the best or most favorable, and I use it. I put myself in a state of anger. So like perfect example, and I do this when I train too. When I go for a really heavy set when I train, I tell people around me if they don't know my routine, because it's a pretty regular thing. I tell them when I start getting there and getting ready for my top set and I have my music going, leave me alone. Like, I don't mean to be a dick. I really don't. But don't talk to me until I'm done with my set, because and it's funny because I love the people. I love the haters online, first of all, because whenever I post a video and I have a little bit of that in the video, there's always going to be haters that are like, oh, it's so cringy. Why is he overacting for the camera and stuff like that? And I just think it's funny because that is like real. That's me. I'm not putting up a show for the camera. I'm not doing it for the crowd at live events. Like, I'm doing what I need to do to get to that mental place to lift that heavy ass weight. So, but
and let's just pretend that was a show. You're competing in a show. So people that talk smack about that, these are people who have never been in that situation where, just like Nick's talking about, trying to make the sport succeed. Walking out there like a fucking librarian is not going to get people their butts out of the seats,
Exactly. Who are you, if you're watching a strongman comp, who are you going to focus on? The guy who comes out, lifts the weight and walks off? The guy who lifts the weight and then walks off? Or the guy that shouts at the crowd, he steals the microphone from the MC, he lifts the weight, he screams while he does it, and then he has the celebration before he walks off? Who are you going to focus on when you're watching that show?
No fucking brainer.
The third guy, definitely the third guy.
And the fact that you train the way you compete, it's just people. When you say people are hating, it's because they just have no understanding what it takes to get into that space, to put yourself through some of the things that a top athlete goes through. I mean, it's not like it's out. It's not like sitting in a fucking warm hot tub, sipping a fucking glass of wine. You're out there fucking. I mean, hands are being torn off, muscles are fucking splitting. I mean, it's all out war. And, it's like telling somebody who's, getting ready to go to war, you shouldn't get so excited. Shut the fuck up.
Like, I never understood that. And the reason I train the way that I do is so that it's an easy transition into competition.
Absolutely.
And I actually picked that up when I was an amateur wrestler. My coach, who was a big mentor to me growing up, my wrestling coach, Steve Hess and Mike Fowler, they practiced and preached, you should practice the way that you're going to wrestle. If you're going to come into practice and you're going to go like 60% the whole time, don't expect to be a monster on the mat when it really counts. Train the way that you can.
The bottom line is you just keep doing what you're doing. They love you or they hate you. It doesn't fucking matter because you're getting
They're talking about me. That's the important part.
That's it. Love me or hate me, I'm doing my job because you're talking. That's right. Because
I got a story that pertains to that specifically.
Let's go, baby. I love it.
Everybody gives me shit about the pro wrestling thing. I come from pro wrestling and now I'm super charismatic when I compete. Oh, he needs to leave that wrestling shit in WWE. Yada, yada, yada. All right, so I'm doing Giants Live Glasgow, and this is the home of the Stoltman brothers, and they're competing in the show with me. And I am on the fourth of the fifth event, the car walk, and I'm going against Tom Stoltman, rating World's Strongest Man, crowd favorite. And I end up before I tell this part, the entire show, for the most part, everybody was kind of cheering for the Stoltmans and Andy Black because they're all Scottish, but crowd was kind of quiet and crickety for the rest of us, no matter what we did or how well we did. So before this walk, I knew I was going to beat Tom in the yoke because I'm faster than he is in yoke. I know that. So in my head, before the event started, I was like, all right, you motherfuckers are just going to be quiet when we compete. If you're not going to cheer for me, I'm going to make you boo me. So
there we go.
Yeah, you can watch this in the show and you can still hear it even in the recording. Like the reaction from the crowd was overwhelming. I beat Tom in I beat him in the car walk, and then after we were both done, I leaned over the windshield. I looked him dead in the face, made eye contact with him, and went like this. I gave him the John Cena, you can't see me. And I'll tell you, man, the wave of just boos that I got when I did that. Well, I felt like the most successful heel like ever.
Dude,
it was a crowd of like,
dude,
it was a crowd of like
that's
4,500 people just all simultaneously just giving me shit for like a minute straight. It was awesome.
Brother, think about like, you know, Robert Oberst. He used to do the same shit. It was perfect.
Yep.
It was creating creating that rivalry. It's what, granted, you're going to get the people, oh, don't do that. Did it. Shut the fuck up. This is what people want. You know, people want a rivalry. People want excitement. People want a little smack talking. That's what it's all about. He used to remember, Obi'd get on the mic and he'd talk smack about, this is what I did. Eddie doesn't have a chance. Just straight up on the microphone, calling him out. Perfect. That's what made it exciting, you know?
Yep. The only difference between me and Rob is I'm good.
There we go.
Rob, I love you, Rob. I love you, Rob.
I know. We were looking at Rob on the show, so we'll have to address this for him. This is perfect. I love it.
Oh, that's funny.
Rob, you know I love you.
We've actually had quite a few, you know, fun moments. When I say fun, because it's exactly what it is. Guys calling each other out, and that's good shit. That's what it's all about, you know.
You can also tell him you can deadlift.
Yeah, I can deadlift over 600 pounds.
Yeah, he got. I mean, granted, you know, he got completely crucified for talking smack about deadlifting on the Joe Rogan show. But I mean, when it comes down to it, you think a deadlift really is specific to certain sports. You know, you're not going to put certain type of athletes at risk of the lower back, you know, when it doesn't make sense. But unfortunately, nobody heard that part of what Robert was saying. They just fucking said, you know, they just tore him up. But,
yeah, they heard "don't deadlift" and they stopped listening and lost their minds.
Yeah, and Robert, of course, he's smart enough to realize that he's getting some heat one way or the next. You know, it was all good with him.
No, he did the smart thing, because as soon as the internet exploded, he made shirts saying it's not a crime to not deadlift or some shit like that. And he capitalized on that shit. He was fucking smart when he did that.
That's going back to the Brian Bosworth days, you know. He'd fucking make a controversy, then make a shirt, you know, crucifying himself, and make fucking 50 grand on T-shirts. It was great, you know. That's what it's all about, you know. I fucking love it, dude. That's good shit. So you really, when it comes down to it, talk to us about, that was a great story about the event with the car walk. Talk to us about another one. What's your favorite? If you had to think of your favorite, like that event where you just had that, everything was in slow motion, and it was like, you have those moments where it just, everything kind of falls into place. Even though you're moving fast, everything seems slow. You have those moments competing. Talk to us about your favorite one.
I want to say that, like, I've had this on 3 different occasions, and it was all in the Stones. It was the final event. Okay. And honestly, it was genuinely when I won the competitions. I won Giants Live North America 2019. I won Giants Live Manchester 2021, and the Arnold UK 2021. I won all 3 of those shows. Now, with Giants Live North America, that was my first pro show win. And you can never forget your first. No. You know what I mean? That always stands out to you. And it was just, it meant so much to me, because it was the first time I qualified for World's Strongest Man.
Brother, you know, going back to my days competing in strongman, my first international win was a North American Championship, and it was like in I guess it would have been the tail end of my rookie pro season. And I was like, this is fucking great. Well, that was the last fucking one. Winning an international show is a fucking son of a bitch. The fact that you've won 3 already is huge. Absolutely huge. And we're talking monstrous shows too, you know?
Oh yeah. Every competition was stacked.
Yeah.
Manchester 2021, that was the show where I deadlifted 1,000 pounds. And when I came into strongman, I'm 6'6". I never deadlifted for any reason other than just working on a little bit of lower back for bodybuilding, I never deadlifted for strength or heavy weight. So coming into strongman, I had a very, very weak deadlift, and I had to bust my ass to get it where it is now. So pulling 1,000 pounds and being one of the very few Americans who have ever done that in the history of the world means a lot to me. And then to top it all off, I had 2 back-to-back appearances at World's Strongest Man where I just had the shittiest luck. In 2020, I was winning my heat, my rookie year of World's Strongest Man competing. I was winning my heat, and I tore my distal bicep tendon off of my left arm completely off the bone on the last event, and it stopped me from going to the final. And then in
That's a fucking heartbreaker, man. Heartbreaker.
I was destroyed, man. I was so heartbroken about that. And then 2021, I was confident that I was going to win my heat again because the events were really good for me, and I was the strongest and fastest I've ever been. And it was in Sacramento, California last year. The second that I landed in California, boom, stomach virus. So for the next 4 days, I was just throwing up, diarrhea. I couldn't drink any water. I couldn't eat any food for the entirety of those 3 to 4 days. I lost 40 pounds in that time.
Brutal.
Yeah. I was so deflated and pale and dehydrated when the competition started. Honestly, it's kind of miraculous that I didn't get injured competing in that condition.
Yes, it
Honestly, it was awful.
Yeah, I mean, the level of dehydration, your muscles were just ready to fucking explode.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm really
So
shocked
dry.
that I made it out of that without an injury.
Well, you're in your 20s, you got a lot more flexibility. In another 10 years, it's going to be different. 10 years, you probably treat that very different than you will right now.
Right.
Yeah. Your flexibility starts going about 45.
When did you turn?
You got a good long way to go.
That was like 25 years ago, right?
Yeah, 8 years ago, yes.
I fucking love it.
So I had, I love you, Nick.
Love you too.
I had those back-to-back really bad performances at World's Strongest Man, the unlucky performances, and I had a point to prove. So winning that show, the slow motion came in the stones, because if I beat Alexei Novikov, then I won the show. And I ended up winning him. I saw my stone land first. My hands came off, and I knew that I won the show just then. And that just meant so much to me that it's not like that was more of a reassurance to me than anything else that I can win World's Strongest Man. That wasn't 2019 North America's wasn't a fluke. Like, I am actually good enough to win it. And then the Arnold UK, I mean, same thing. I mean, I won the inaugural first Arnold UK Strongman competition. It came down to the stones. Me and Alexei Novikov, we went into the stones with him at like a 1 or 2 point lead, and I ended up beating him by like 2 placings. So we ended up actually tying on points, but because it goes to who did the stones faster, that was me. So I ended up winning the show.
Damn.
Just the slow motion thing that you were talking about honestly happened all 3 times during the stones.
That's killer, brother. I mean, those are those moments that you want. Those are the best moments, man, because it's like you smell. It's like you get to really kind of. It's like you can think back to that time, and it was just a few seconds, but it seems like it was so much longer because everything's so clear. Yeah. Good shit, brother. That's fucking good shit. I love it, man. Yep. I love it. All right, here's a question for you, brother. So we got a time machine. You can get in that time machine and you can dial in the exact day and the exact time You want to go back, you're going to go back and you're going to talk to yourself. You're going to give yourself a piece of advice. When do you know, where in your lifespan, where in your timeline, where do you go? How old are you? Where are you? What are you doing when you go as you are right now today and talk to that younger version of yourself? And what do you say?
I would honestly tell my 10-year-old self to start strength training. Honestly, like, I don't want this to come off sounding arrogant, but I know for a fact that if I would have started strongman and powerlifting and strength training specifically at a much younger stage in my life, I would have already won World's Strongest Man more than once. I know I would have.
Well, I mean, look at you, just like a minute you're talking about, you didn't deadlift for any reason. You didn't never deadlift for strength prior to strongman, and now you're 1,000-pound deadlifter, which is a fucking amazing. It's a very short period of time to develop a deadlift like that.
Yeah.
So if you stacked another 10 years worth of training on this, I have to imagine what you're saying is absolutely true. You know?
Yeah. Like I don't regret my time spent in WWE or doing the bodybuilding. I don't regret any of that at all. Absolutely, I don't. But I can't help but think if I would have started strongman when I was like 14, like some of the crazy Ukrainians and Russians, Jesus, it would be nuts where I would be at right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very true. I mean, some of these guys now in Europe, they're learning these techniques. You know, they're fucking prepubescent, you know?
Yep.
It's crazy.
It is wild though. I think it's cool personally when I go into a strongman comp and I'm going up against guys who have like years and years of it. Like I compete against Brian Shaw, I compete against Andrunas Savickas, I compete against Alexei Novikov, Tom Stoltman, like all of these guys. And like Alexei Novikov is like 25 and he's been doing this for over 10 years. That's
crazy.
That is insane.
Yeah.
And it's funny. To me, it's funny just because every competition I go into, I'm always the guy with the least amount of experience. I've been doing strongman for the least amount of time. Yeah. It's just, it's awesome.
Oh, that'll change. That will change.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, I'm not going to be the youngest forever.
Yeah, you just got to keep doing what you're doing, brother. All you got to do is keep doing what you're doing, you know, and that's you're on the path you need to be on. There's no question about that. Yep. You know.
Thank you.
So
just remember, it doesn't matter when you get to the path. It matters that you walk the path and do the path.
Damn straight.
So you got there. Doesn't matter if you started earlier. It doesn't. I got there at 42. That was my first time when I got there. I was 42 years old. So you're there at 27, 28. You got a long time ahead of you. Long time.
Yeah, so bro. That's Nick's right. All you got to do is keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what you're doing.
You know,
it's not as fun.
In a situation like yours,
that big gold trophy home.
There we go. In a situation like yours,
just one.
So
the first one is just going to be for conversation starter more than anything. I'm going to put it in the center of my dining room table. Everybody sees it when we're having dinner. They can look at how amazing I am and what all I've accomplished. Every other one I win after that, that's what gets put in the trophy cabinet.
Gotcha.
Now I might put one in the bathroom, one in the bedroom, so I have something to look at when I got to cuddle with something, so I might bring that in the bed with me.
Well, brother, you're one of these guys that you looking at your journey, especially after hearing you talk your timeline through. This was all kind of, everything happened for a reason. Obviously, it'd been different had you started training earlier. It'd have been different if a lot of errors. But the bottom line is, you're here. You're doing so well, and you're getting better so much faster. You know, it took everything that happened to put you in the space to be on this meteoric rise. So, brother, you just keep doing what you're doing, man. It's a lot of fun to watch, brother. A lot of fun to watch.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. So this is a little bit of a different question because you're so young. Because how old are you? I'll ask that when you can answer it properly this time.
How old am I right now?
Right now, as we speak, this second. All
right. 29.
Here we go. Third time's the charm, baby. In your defense, we were jumping around the timeline, so I can understand where you're coming from when you kept answering 29. So at 29 years old, you've done so much in such a short period of time, and you're going to do so much more. So obviously, Legends of Iron, where you're literally carving out your legend as we speak. You've got a big career ahead of you. When it's all over and the physical part of you is gone, what is it that T-Rex is going to be remembered for? What is it that you want to be remembered for?
I want Evan the T-Rex Singleton to be remembered as one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant, strength athletes in the entire history of the world. I want to be revered as somebody who won multiple world titles, defended those titles, was known for his dedication and unwillingness to quit. Through everything that I have been through, I've been through my fair share of shit in the short amount of time that I've been in strongman. My belief in myself and my willingness to continuously stay dedicated and put the work in has never withered once.
I love it, brother. Love it. Good shit. Well, again, this is like the tip of your iceberg. So, you got at least another decade to be doing what you're talking about, if not more. I mean, Christ, look at Nick. Nick is in his 50s, still competing at that level.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah,
fucking absolutely unreal.
Brother, you have been one hell of a fun guest to have on, and I got to tell you, I had a hell of a good time talking with you, brother. So thank you for coming on the show.
That. Likewise.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, brother. I look forward. We'll connect this coming weekend when you're out in Vegas, and I'm going out there too. Mm-hmm. That'll be fun. We'll go get a meal.
Oh, hell yeah. Definitely going to have to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so thanks for coming on the show for sure. Nick Ox, you guys have anything else for him?
I only got one thing to say. If you're taking both him and Nick out, make sure you're not paying, because that's going to be one hell of a
bit. Nick invited me. He's paying for everything.
So we're probably going to do a brisket, and we're probably going to do a prime rib. So I think we'll be okay.
Love it. Well, brother, again, thank you for being on the show, and keep doing what you're doing, because it's just getting better and better. You're, like you said, me personally, you're in the top 2 of people I love to watch. You're animated. You're getting the job done. Keep talking that smack. Keep fucking doing what you're doing, my brother. That's it.
I don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
I love it. Right on. Well, there you have it, everybody. There is another edition of Legends of Iron. We are here to make you the best version of yourself. We've got Evan T-Rex Singleton here sharing his stories to motivate you. Again, we're here to motivate you and make the best version of yourselves. Keep kicking ass out there, everyone. There's another edition. See you next time.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mints. Muscle Mints is the creator of Carnivore. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein.